Hello, guys. So today in this session, we will be getting into the topic of directive principles of state policy, the DPSPs, which are again essential part of the constitution, just like fundamental rights. But these are not enforceable by law, unlike fundamental right. So DPSPs are outlined in the part 4 of the constitution. So part 3, it is fundamental right. Part 4, it is DPSP. So articles are from 36 to 51. The DPSPs play a very important role in guiding how the state should function. These are guiding principles of how the state should function, but it is again, please remember that it is not enforceable by law like the fundamental rights. So let's get into the details of it, and we will try to understand this topic step by step. And you can understand the significance of DPSPs and their classification and their impact on India's governance in this session. So I'll share the PPT. With the help of the PPT, we will be able to better understand the DPSPs. Okay. So guys, let's get started. So let's try to go with the introduction. Right. See, when we vote for elections, what we consider? We often consider factors like candidate's background, right? And then their education, their criminal records, and very importantly, their party's manifesto. So a manifesto is basically a list of promises or policies a party says it will follow if it comes to power. But if the winning party, what if doesn't keep the promise? Right? There are generally no legal action that can be taken to enforce them. So when it comes to the directive principles of state policy, like DPSP, works similar to that manifesto, but within the constitution itself. While they represent the goals and responsibilities of the state, they are not legally enforceable. Just like politician, you tell that policies and everything, but again, once they come to power, if they won't implement it, you cannot legally enforce it. Just like that here also, these are the guiding principles and everything, yes, but these are not legally enforceable. So you need to think of them as a guidebook for the government to ensure the social and economic welfare of the people. Let's discuss about the origin and purpose also. See, first, this can be an objective question where, what is the inspiration? It's the Irish constitution. So it's borrowed from Irish constitution, the concept. So the framers of the Indian constitution wanted to include these guiding principles to achieve three main goals, which are actually mentioned in the preamble. So what are that? Social justice and economic justice and political justice. So the key principle or the key principle behind this DPSPs are ensuring social, economic, and political justice. And together, DPSPs and fundamental rights basically aim to make these goals a reality. While fundamental rights protect individual freedoms, the DPSP push the state to uplift society as a whole. Okay, so let's look at the difference between fundamental right and DPSPs first, guys. Uh, let's try to understand the difference. Okay, they actually each play unique role in the constitution. If you look at the nature of rights first, so fundamental rights are negative rights. They tell the state what cannot do, right? For instance, it cannot discriminate against people or infringe on personal freedoms. But when it comes to DPSPs, these are positive rights. So they tell the state it should do. So like providing equal pay and ensuring access to education, like that. So one is negative and the other is like positive. Now coming to focus of justice, fundamental rights mainly focus on political justice. This is a prelims question. DPSP is aimed at economic and social justice. Now coming to its enforceability, which is again very important, fundamental rights are justiciable, means if the state violate them, you can go to court to seek a remedy. But DPSPs are non-justiciable. This means if the state does not follow DPSP, states, if the state is not following, which is not enforceable, citizen cannot go to court to enforce them. And this is clearly clarified in which article? Article 37. Now, why DPSPs are not enforceable? Why it is so? See, you might wonder, right? Why DPSPs, if they are so important, are not enforceable or not given a constitutional or legal backing for its enforceability. If you're talking about social and economic justice or equality, think of it in this way. See, when India gained independence, the country faced a lot of social and economic challenges, and it was crucial to have enforceable right. That is a fundamental right to protect individuals immediately, but the state was not ready to implement broader welfare goals immediately. But individual rights need to be protected. That the kind of situations that we have faced under British rule. So this idea was to work towards these goals gradually, right? So that is the reason why it made it not enforceable. So the idea behind that is, with time, gradually over a period of time, it will take place and the country will develop as and when the country progresses, and it may take some time so that things will be in check. But that's not the case with fundamental right. It should be done immediately. So for example, if you look at Article 45, it initially aimed to provide free education to children, and this goal was only achievable as India grow economically. So at that point of time, you cannot make it enforceable or anything. You need to first grow economically. It may take some time, and later it become enforceable fundamental right through Article 21A. So whatever DPSP is there over a period of time when the country is progressing and as per the demand of the situation, it can become a fundamental right also, which is enforceable. That's a clear example of that. So if you're getting a question in mains, this is how you need to approach that. You can take up this very same example and you can mention that. Okay. So now let's also look at Article 37. Yeah, the Article 37. So the role and importance of DPSPs, right? So Article 37 gives us three main points about DPSPs. First, that is, these are non-enforceable in courts, and they are fundamental to governance. DPSPs are essential guidelines for how India should be governed. And third one, the state should follow DPSPs when making laws and policies. Now, guys, although DPSPs are not legally binding, they represent the social and moral responsibility of the government. So a government that ignore DPSPs could, lose the public support, and the risk is not being re-elected. So that's something which is there. So that is how it can be in fact enforced. So in this way, public opinion is a powerful force that encourages the state to respect the DPSP. Now, when it comes to the classification of DPSP, there is no such original classification or anything, but they used to ask what are the Gandhian principle, socialist principles, like that. So let's look at the socialist principles. So remember, there is no such organized or specific categories mentioned in Constitution. We can classify into three groups. That's what the socialist principle, Gandhian principles, and the liberal principles. Let's look at the socialist principles. Now, what is the aim of this? That's basically to establish a welfare state. That's a socialist principle. So they focus on social and economic welfare, like equal pay for equal work, right to adequate means of livelihood, etc. So some of the important articles, if you look at Article 38, 39, 39A, 41, 42, Article 43, 43A, 47 are clear-cut examples for socialistic principles. You can read that because I want to finish the session in 10 minutes. So because these are revision sessions. Now, several laws such as the Minimum Wages Act, Equal Pay for Equal Work, etc. reflect these principles. Now coming to Gandhian principles. Guys, these are inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's ideals, and they focus on promoting local industries, empowering village panchayats, and promoting health and public welfare, etc. So the important articles, if you look at Article 40 is there, 43, 43B, 46, 47, 48. Please look at the articles in detail in your, constitution. Okay, and that's examples. If you see promotion of cottage industries, protection of cows, which actually Gandhi supported. Now, coming to the liberal principles, these actually focus on liberal and international ideals like promoting uniform civil code, protecting the environment, and respecting international peace and security, etc. So the key articles here are Article 44, 45, 48, 48A, 49, 50, 51, etc. For instance, environmental laws like Water Pollution Act, which are inspired by these principles only. Now we also look at the amendments. Sorry, I missed this slide. Classification, yes, of liberal principles. We discussed this already. Okay. So let's look at the important amendments. See, over a period of time, amendments have added, and new articles has been added to Part 4, adapting DPSPs to address the modern needs also. So first one we can discuss is 42nd Amendment Act 1976, which added the articles 36, 39A, 43A, 48A, which expanded, DPSP scope on social justice and environmental protection. Then comes 44th Amendment Act 1978. So that expanded the Article 38 to ensure social justice. And then 86th Amendment Act 2002 modified Article 45 and made education a fundamental right under Article 21A. So 86th Amendment Act is very important. So Article 45 modified this right to education as a fundamental right and brought it under Article 21A. Now, 97th Amendment Act, very important. They used to ask this in prelims question in 2011, which added Article 43B, that is on cooperative societies. Okay, so these amendments basically show how DPSPs have evolved over a period of time to support the current issues and challenges, and it keep on evolving, and you will see more amendments, and they will be taking some and will be adding to fundamental rights over a period of time when the country progresses and the demand is required. So that's how it can made enforceable also over a period of time. Now, the significance of DPSPs. As we discussed, it's a guiding force, complementary role, along with the fundamental rights and its evolving nature we already discussed. So let's conclude now. Right, okay. So guys, DPSPs are not enforceable. It may not be enforceable by law, but the fact is that they are very crucial for guiding India's governance. Now, while fundamental rights protect individual freedom, DPSPs aim to ensure the collective welfare of society. Very important. Both are necessary pillars of our constitution and helping India's progress towards just and inclusive society. So that's about the session. I hope you got some good idea about the basics of the directive principles. If you are looking for the complete course on polity or civil services, you can get the link in the description for mentorship and the courses. You can consider joining us. So that's it, guys. And thank you so much for attending. See you in the next session.